folks! Folks, welcome back. My name is Rudy. You're watching Alpha Investments, also known as the Cardboard Timmy Empire in 2025. Today, we're going to have a sit-down, calm conversation in my squeaky chair. I don't know if you guys can hear that. So it's been a long time since we've talked about new card games and failed card games in the card world. So there's a new chatter that's continuing to swirl around regarding some failed card games. Should I say it? Should I say it? I'm going to use the word. Is he going to say the word? Where's the Simpsons meme? Is he going to say the word? So my patron over here, Douglas, wow, how long has it been? Wow, Douglas H. has been waiting almost over 60 days for me to crack some of the Rudy Cran Eater MetaZoo promos for him, and I'm going to send those to him, as we do about once or twice a year. So I've been wanting to wait till January for the to kind of see the market conditions. I wanted to see how this news of the MetaZoo situation with this new company taking over. I wanted to see some of these other new card games that are trying to come to market, and I want to kind of slosh it all around and give you all my opinion. There's a lot of interesting theories out there. There's not really a whole lot to discuss with the failed MetaZoo as itself, but there's a lot of interesting things to go over regarding the market conditions and some of these new card games and some, and some drama and little stuff, but I don't really, we'll touch on it, but that's about it. So first things first, obviously, market conditions are very, very strong. We all know that. I've made a lot of videos recently talking about this is the craziest, strongest market I may have ever seen in modern history for Pokemon. The only other time I remember Pokemon being this powerful was the release of Pokemon in 1998, 99, 2000 range. That seems to have been the closest feel that Pokemon has right now. 2020, 2021, the COVID boom, Logan Paul, Charizards, and all the silliness was pretty wild, but it didn't have the authenticity that this particular Pokemon market has. Now, same thing with Magic. So first, let's talk about one theory. A lot of people believe, by the way, Douglas, good luck getting Rudy Cran Eaters. Prices on these are still very, very high. I think $100 to $200 a promo card. Each one's a random. You're going to get one of 3 crayons or the original Rudy the Cran Eater. This was the last produced MetaZoo product from the printer before the company just completely went to hell. So, I mean, I guess thanks for the company and Mike for actually printing and not hosing me on this. So that's nice. So first things first. Some people believe that the failure of a lot of the startup card games, there was quite a bit of them, by the way. It wasn't just a lot of people believe the failure of many different card games actually paved the foundation and the groundwork for stronger markets in the card games that did survive, which is an interesting thing. In other words, a lot of people believe that we had so many card games coming to market that it actually took away and divided that piece of pie so thin, it kind of hindered some of the growth and some of the things from certain card games. Oh, 2-packs. I kept thinking they were 1-pack. So again, I'm going to send you these sealed packs. Some of these are actually pretty nice. And Red Cran, pack 1. And I thought that was interesting because some people said, well, ever since we've had a consolidation, and I remember I had a patron send me a list where they said, I think somebody told me 17 card games failed in the bear market by the end of 2023. 17 new Kickstarter, GoFundMe related startups. 17. Now, I don't know how many there actually were. I don't know if it's 17 out of 20. I don't know if it's 17 out of 30. I don't know the context of that. But I thought, man, 17 new card games? That seems like a big failure for literally, 2-3 years? So that seems like a pretty high number. But anyways, I thought that was... So a lot of people have messaged me saying, well, Rudy, it's been a good thing. Because the fact that a lot of the weaker ones that ran well failed, it's actually allowed the ones to survive to do substantially better. And, well, there may be truth to that. It's a little too soon to know. But it does feel like that is hey! It does feel like that's helping. Pack 2, we did hit the main Crayon Eater Rudy. That's actually nice. God, it's been so long since I've looked at these or opened these. I remember we did one 6 months ago. I think out of the 12 packs we opened, I think we got 1 or 2. Was it just 1? So red crayon and a Rudy crayon, very nice. Then I want to pause there. I want to jump over to the some of these other. So because the market conditions are so strong now, we have a lot of new card games trying to come to market. I'd say probably in the last 6 months, I think I've been pitched and sent samples and been approached with new card games. I'd say maybe in the last 6 months, I'd say at least 20 companies, or at least 20 new CCG, TCGs, collectible card games, or trading card. I would say about at least 20 companies. And, it's kind of funny because it's very difficult to know if a new startup is going to be successful or not. It's difficult. And I've got many things wrong. I remember at the beginning with One Piece. I didn't carry One Piece at the beginning. I got that wrong. It's very, very difficult to predict, especially with new management or a company. Because if you have new management, you don't know how they're going to really handle things. Because everybody says the same thing. Oh, Rudy, I'm going to keep the cards where the players can get the playable cards. And I'm going to respect the collectors. I'm going to respect the investors. I'm not going to overprint. And I'm not going to... See, everybody says that. Every single card game in the history of printing cards, back in the baseball card era and the collapse of the 90s, every single company says the same thing. Now the issue is, after you get a taste of 1 or 2 successful releases, well, management and attitude always shifts. It's either category A, where it's, well, there's just too much opportunity for revenue. If we print another 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 box print run, if they print that many, the opportunity, even if they're getting $40 in revenue a box, it's just, you're talking millions of dollars. And it's such an allure, it's very, very difficult for a normal person to turn down multi-million dollars, and the profit's going to be a lot larger because you're not redesigning anything. You're taking the same thing you already paid the R&D for and paid the artist for, and you have a little bit of startup costs with the printer, and then you just kind of churn out a bunch more, right? Red. 2 reds. And category B is companies print a lot, and it becomes real successful, and prices go up, and you start to get that internet excitement and hype. And then the startup company comes along and says, oh, well, we got people are blowing up my social media, and they're angry, and all the people on the Twitters and the MySpaces and the Backpage and the Tinder, they're angry. They said they can't get boxes. This game's dead. Roar! And then that particular mob comes after the company, and then they use that as justification to they fire up the reprint machine. And as the Rudy quote has been for the last decade on this YouTube channel, if you overprint, you will pay the price. And if you listen to the internet police, and if you listen to the squeaky wheels, you will not focus on the correct areas. The car will eventually blow the engine. It will, if you cannot focus on just, what's that squeaky wheel on the highway? It's no big deal. It's probably just a wheel. No, it could be your engine getting ready to blow. And if you listen to that internet police, some of the companies have good intentions. They say, well, Rudy, I think we should do this because, we need to get the product to the people. And I feel like there's good intentions there. I really do. But the problem is, how many people truly feel that way? Just because you have a handful of people on the internet blowing up your email and being aggressive and posting online, does that represent the silent majority? And that's something we've all learned in modern times with everything from just how companies are ran to politics to social media. It's very, very difficult to understand what we see and read versus really, is that how everybody really feels? So we run into very complicated things with that. So these are the type of paths that tend to destroy the new card games. And the thing is, what about starting brand new now? Okay, that's the next thing that I know a lot of you all, if you're involved in the new company, you're going to be, oh, what's Rudy talking about? That's the next thing is, what if right now you're going to start a brand new company? You got good market conditions. The odds of success are a lot better than they were a year or two ago, right? So how do you handle that? How do you do that? Well, right now, anyone who starts a new card game, it's not impossible. Obviously, it's always improbable. Your failure, you have to go into all this stuff. If you're putting money into any new card game, you have to accept you're essentially buying like a penny stock or something silly, because the probability of failure of a new card game is probably outrageous. It's probably like 70, 80, 90% chance of failure. It's really, really bad. Okay? And because of that, hey, finally a blue one. Okay. Very cool. The odds of failure are just, once you finally commit to a new card game and you make it, let's say, even if you use a Kickstarter or not, it's going to cost you hundreds of thousands to produce the actual products. Not including the artwork, the R&D, the play testing, the logistics, the website or hosting or different things. But even if you get over all those hurdles, you have to front tons of capital, okay? And then, if the internet gets excited about your product, you probably have a 6 to 12 month window before the hype and the FOMO dies off on your name and your brand, and it flows to the next flavor of the month. So essentially, you have a tiny window where you have to figure out, how do I get the game sustainable? How do I get it to a point where it's big enough to be... How do you get it to where when you let off the gas, the engine doesn't stall out? You need the game to be a certain size so that when you even let off the gas of the hype online, that the actual game itself has enough stability where the engine doesn't stall and you can actually idle and you can move forward and you can kind of do your thing. That's a very, very difficult thing to achieve. And again, I know a lot of you guys aren't going to want to hear this, but in my opinion, you have to have distribution. Like, you can get the influencers, the YouTubers, social media, the Rudys, you help you design or build things or whatever. Oh, green crayon. Actually, I think we actually have the whole set. So you can get multiple people involved, this and that, but you need to have a source of distribution. And a lot of people are very angry when it comes to distributors and things like that. A lot of startups and people always say, oh, Rudy, never use distributors, never do anything like that. And because they take a chunk of your money and this, and they have these, complicated terms. If they don't trust you, they may not pay for your product up front, and maybe they only pay you for what sells, kind of like the Walmart, MJ Holdings, Excel Marketing type of kind of contractual agreements where they're only going to pay you, kind of like what soda or beer is at a grocery store. They're only going to pay you for what scans at the register. So if your product doesn't sell, it sits on the shelf and dies, the distributor's not going to pay you, kind of thing, to sit on your product in a warehouse. So that gets kind of a weird thing also. And we are coming in hot, ladies and gentlemen, with a blue crayon. So I don't know if there's really... I don't see a path forward in a digital age of making a new product without being on board with a minimum of 1 to 2 distributors. There's no way to do it. Because I know card companies, and see, the problem is new companies, they're always under such financial pressure, and the cash flow situation is always such a complicated, difficult thing. Because their cash flow is so difficult, they always need to have some reoccurring revenue, a promo, a mini set, a promotional thing, even hosting or going to events with your new card game, Gen Cons, Comic Cons, any cons, everything costs money. And if you're going to hand out products or hand out promos or, I paid for my promo. Like, I didn't get promos for free. Like, to pay for something like this, like a Rudy Crayon thing, this thing set me back, like, I don't remember what it was. Let's say an even number. Was it $40,000, $50,000? $40,000 to $50,000. Unlike the internet that just believes promos and things are free. Well, no. Like, at least for me, maybe I'm the idiot. Maybe I shouldn't be paying for them. many times I kind of one way or the other have to pay for things. And if you don't have the capital or the reserves or anything to handle some of that stuff, it can be a major strain on your financial situation, everybody. Coming in hot. 2 blue crayons, 2 red crayons, a green, and a Rudy. So we're pretty dispersed today on this. Unlike the previous, we're pretty even here. We're pretty diversified. So if you're trying to start a new game right now, you got to have a lot of money. You need to get some heavy hitters like a Rudy or a big LGS. You need a big social media impact. But that alone won't work. You also need to have distribution access. Because while you're going to be pissed off that distributor's not going to pay you as much as if you sell direct to consumer, which is very alluring for companies, you need a way, because remember, when you're with a distributor, that distributor is now going to have hundreds of salespeople that talk to stores all over the country every single day, and they're going to tell thousands of stores all over the United States about your product. They're essentially going to market and go to bat for you of like, hey, this new card game, have you heard of it, Timmy? This is Timmy's Emporium. No, I haven't heard of it. Should I try it? Or you do a promotion. You tell a distributor, hey, get every LGS, let them have one case, I'll foot the bill, let them see and handle the product. If they like it, then they can order more. You're going to have to go across things a certain way. And again, it all costs money. And, that's why I tell you guys all the time, like this stuff isn't like, oh, I've got 10 grand or 50 grand or 100 grand. You have to have massive capital, like in my opinion, hundreds of thousands of dollars, just to even have a basic starting point and to even have a real chance at succeeding in this stuff. So now that by the way, so what are we at? 3 red, 2 blue, 1 green, and 1 Rudy. Dang, we're already 7 of the 12. We only got, really? No, wait, that's 8. How many have we done? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Dang, we're almost done already? All right. We need a way. Now, let's go back to MetaZoo. Let's talk about MetaZoo for a second. So obviously the new company that's part of MetaZoo is supposed to launch MetaZoo 2 in 2025. Actually, it's 2025 now, which is why I waited to make this video. And there's been a lot of chatter about it. So again, to remind you all and give you guys some pieces of information right up front. Number one, sorry, I have absolutely zero plans to do any videos on it or anything. I've had zero communication with the new company. I'm going to just go on a limb here and just assume they just don't like me, or they think I'm the reason that MetaZoo failed, or I don't know. God knows what people think. People come up with crazy stuff. So I'm going to, because of that alone, I've had absolutely zero contact and communication with the Meta 2 company. I don't know what kind of products they're going to make. I don't know. I mean, they seem like smart people because they have a lot of money and they seem to know what they're doing. But I have no clue what the plans are. I don't know how they're going to manage it. I remain very, very surprised that the MetaZoo company was able to get a buyer for that dollar amount. I mean, obviously, hundreds and hundreds of you guys asked me if I was going to buy MetaZoo and take it over and run it correctly or change it or whatever wording you want to use. And well, no. The problem is the MetaZoo name is just so damaged and so toxic, and there's so much anger by so many people with just the name MetaZoo. That's to me, spending over $2 million for the name or the brand alone, it can be done. It can be turned around. It doesn't have a guaranteed chance of failure. I don't think that's the case at all. It can work. It can be turned. The problem is you're up a situation where the odds are so bad. The probability of the new MetaZoo working is just unfavorable. And from a risk-reward standpoint, the risk just seems really, really high for the potential reward. Now, again, they may have information that I don't know. I do know they got some inventory, but, most of the inventory they got and the inventory that ended up in the dumpster was all, I don't know why people always take things out of context. You know, the most valuable MetaZoo stuff is going to be Kickstarter, first edition, and I guess the last set native, which is still at an all-time high. Native boxes over $100. Isn't that crazy? So the issue, though, is, well, does the new company change their mind and go back and reprint old stuff and destroy it to make money? Does the new company make new product? And I believe they said that the new MetaZoo product will not be compatible with the old MetaZoo product, right? So because of that, I'm not really sure how, because a lot of people lost a lot of money in MetaZoo. And the people who made a lot of money in MetaZoo, me, at the end, again, started losing a lot of money in MetaZoo. Because, well, everything fell apart and, you know, any inventory that you held or was sitting on, obviously, everything just, well, tanked. Because, well, the company just kind of said, peace out, bitches, I'm out. And everybody was like, I mean, I'll never forget the day I found out when Mike put that post out and everything. And I remember that post because I didn't even know what was happening. And all of a sudden I had all my email and Patreon blew up with messages like, did you see what they did to did you see what management did? And everybody was just like, wow. And then of course you had the second batch of people that were like, well, you know, poor management and bad people who do bad things and this and that, they get what they deserve. And there was that army of people saying, well, I knew it was going to fail along and they got what they deserved. So you had all these different type of people pop out of the, I can't believe it, to they deserved what they got. Well, Mike ran to the ground, to, well, God knows. You will never really know the last few months what the behind the scenes real conversations and phone calls and messages were. Because we'll never really know. Oh, are we already to the last one? And, you know, because of that, we don't really know what the ultimatums or what was said or how. We don't really know. Now, I've had some chatter over the last few months from some people who claim to work in the warehouse of Golden Distribution. Artists and people who claim to have been involved. There's been some chatter on stuff like that. Really? Green Crane again. You know, so, God, really? One Rudy? Dang. God, the green crayons. We got the most. 4 greens? Jeez, we did get the most, didn't we? 4 greens? That's so crazy. 4 greens, 4 red, or I'm sorry, 4 green, 4 blue, and of course, at the very end, as you guys know, 3 red, and the 1 rare, infamous, Crane Eater Rudy card. That's still very, very expensive. Even the crayons are not cheap. I think the crayons are $50 to $100. I think the Rudy's over $100. Still very expensive. Not including you get all the packs and everything. But anyways, you know, I remember at the end I got some messages in the last 60 days regarding some people who worked in the warehouse and the infamous picture of the MetaZoo in the dumpster, which I guess was it all second edition boosters or spell books? I think somebody told me, one person claimed it was all second edition boosters. Someone else said it was there was a little bit of a blend. But that was, again, because they printed, to this day, I'll never forget. I don't know why. I don't want to speculate on things I don't have answers to, but I guess the closure of that, and then we'll make another 6 months from now, we'll see if MetaZoo 2 does anything. And I guess all I can tell to anybody who wants to be involved with the new MetaZoo, obviously, good luck. And you're in a very, very major uphill battle because you're going to try to sell a new product with a name that's been branded as like corruption, scam, and hosing, not paying people, bankruptcy. That's a very, 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 very difficult kind of branding to kind of overcome. Now, it's possible, but man, it's going to take time. And I see, that's the thing, is if I was going to make a new card game, like, I wouldn't use the name of a game that bamboozled people and the management wrecked it, overprinted it, and went through bankruptcy. And has lawsuits between printers, players, artists, and like, I wouldn't want to build a new card game and attach myself to that, you know? If I was going to make a new card game, I would just use, you know, make it, why use the name MetaZoo again? Like, the people who bought it, like, I would personally probably do something like, I'd probably just rename it called like the Cryptid Adventure or Cryptid Creatures. Ooh, CC, Cryptid Creatures. You know, I would make a new name for my new brand. That's what I would do. But that's just me. You know, what do I know? I've never actually, designed R&D of a game before. I've never actually done that. So, my knowledge in that's not exactly polished. So, to zoom back out in this conversation today, I just want to remind everybody, I expect through 2025 that we see a lot of new card games start up. Okay? Because our market is so strong and the market conditions are so positive and just everything's doing so well and the money machine is going burr and everything's crazy, just be aware we are going to see a lot of new things pop up. And I think a lot's probably going to go through Kickstarter. And just understand, most startups in Kickstarter do fail. And you will lose all your money. Okay? Most of the individuals who want to design and make a new game, it doesn't really matter how good the game is. Because you have different components. When you create a game, how's the game and the mechanics? How's the artwork? How's the framework? How polished does it look? What's the cardstock quality? Who's printing it? Where is it being printed? Then you move to the next thing. What about the management and the owners? Are these owners really good at game design? There's a reason why someone like Rudy's favorite company, let's see, back in the day, Squaresoft, Blizzard North, old school Konami, you can use that one loosely, Atlas, there's a lot of these things. Working Designs, I think they're still around. A lot of the people who make these creative, good video games or card games or good adventures, and they're able to build a world, that type of human and that type of brain is usually not very good at business, finance, and analytics like my brain. My brain is wired for numbers, analytics, percentages, probabilities, and of course, just any form of financial type of thought process. Like my brain just goes around that and handles it real well. Now, my brain, it's very, very rare for an individual to be wired really good for game design and creativity, but also business analytics. Those things they don't click good, So this reinforces what I'm saying is that when someone makes a really good game, chances are, even if the game's really good, the odds of them being able to manage print runs, launch a product, navigate the business landscape, manage cash flows, finance, and build it where they don't take a huge short-term win, which damages long-term brand. To be able to do those type of decisions is really difficult, especially if you're not rich. Again, I don't care what anyone says, having access, using the word rich or wealthy, the 1%, these are our modern social media terms that are very polarizing. But the reality is, you need resources. And if you want to do crazy things in this world, you need a tremendous amount of resources. When I was a kid, I remember thinking, whoa, can you imagine having $1 million? And now, I think it was I remember it was a Vanguard or Fidelity or Merrill Lynch or Chase. One of the bank's brokerage firms said something like, having $1 million in the bank now, you can't even retire on. The Millionaire Next Door, which is some of the books and things I used to read in college, now you have to have 3 to 5 million. The scales and the numbers because of inflation, economic situations, and remember, folks, from 2020 to 2022, we experienced 20 years of inflation compressed and consolidated into 24 months. So the acceleration in the repricing of the world, especially when it comes to stocks or real estate or any of these things, they went through the roof. And for normal people who don't have incomes that scale and adjust to these type of metrics, it's a very devastating thing. So this goes back to, to build and do something, even if you have a good product, you need a lot of resources. So to end this video, like I've been telling you guys, to make a new product, not only do you need an amazing R&D design product, you need unique, captivating artwork, okay? You need a good printer in actually, printing process to make the product really nice. Packaging, the view. You need good artwork. Then you need good logistics of where to handle and who to trust to move this stuff to. Then you need a tremendous amount of bankroll or resources or money or rich wealth, whatever. You need a lot of money. Then on top of that, you need access to a Rudy or another major influencer or a huge, OnlyFans chick that'll jiggle your cards around and get guys to stare at it. And then on top of that, you need access to legitimate major distribution. You need to have so many things. Now again, you don't need all these things. Maybe distributors say F you. Maybe you don't have any money. Maybe Rudy doesn't like you because, you banged his stepsister or something. I don't know. Do I have a stepsister? I don't think so. Pretend I do. It'll make you feel good. You don't need all these things, but the less of these things you have, the higher the probability that teeter-totter tilts to failure. So this is all a numbers game. It's all a probability game. And that's my attitude towards it. So the end of the video here, I expect a lot of new startups this year. I expect most will fail for the reasons I just outlined. And the problem is everybody who makes it, they think they can be different. They think they can break the mold. And it's nothing to do with the individuals and all the people who message me and this and that. It's just the problem is the market conditions and the difficulty. It's like on a scale of 1 to 10, you're talking about taking on a task that takes years of work. You're risking all your money. You're probably not going to make any money for a while. And, you may go bankrupt and everybody thinks they can do it better. And there's a reason why. Well, usually everybody's wrong. As we say on this YouTube channel, over 90% of investors in the stock market, in the collectible world, in real estate, in flipping single cards, over 90% of individuals never make money investing, even in the crypto world, which crypto world to me is essentially Bitcoin, Ethereum. Everything else to me is just, I don't consider really. I know there's a billion coins and everything, and I know some of you guys are billionaires from Hawk Tuas and all these silly things, but I consider crypto just Bitcoin, Ethereum. And, I think the problem is people don't understand risk. People downplay risk. Because the brain has a hard time seeing risk sometimes if you've never experienced the risk. Does that make sense? If you've never incurred a certain type of risk, you don't know to be afraid of it. Your brain you can't get anxiety for something you don't know exists. Right now, people who leverage up to buy Bitcoin. Right now, the hot thing on Wall Street, everybody wants to leverage in 2x, 3x, and 4x funds to leverage their exposure to the S&P 500 or leverage their exposure to NVIDIA or leverage their exposure to Hasbro? No one's that dumb. Leverage their exposure to Tesla. Young people, well, I only got $1,000, Rudy, so I'm going to leverage it. I'm going to put it to a fund, and that's going to leverage it to 4 to 1. Then I'm going to go on margin. So I'm going to 8 to 1 my leverage. And this is why crashes and resets need to be embraced. This is why failures are important in life, folks. My focus is to stand the test of time. My focus is to know that no matter what decision I make, I ask myself, okay, well, what's the worst case scenario? Will I live to fight the next day, or will I go to zero? If I leverage this and that, and I'm wrong, how much damage can that do? You have to remember that. Market crashes is one of the healthiest things on Wall Street in the card world. Has anybody ever stopped to think what Magic would be like if Magic didn't have a 2-year bear market? Has anybody ever stopped to fucking think what would happen if Vintage wasn't 3 years of negative in Vintage Magic? What if Pokemon, Scarlet Violet from day one, SV01, was booming? So that will lead me to the next video. We'll do another time here. But I just want to end this video on startups and why they're dangerous, why most of them fail, and why most of them will continue to fail, even the ones that haven't even come out yet. And be very careful, everybody. If you enjoy the games and you actually like the product, then yeah, buy a startup or Kickstarter, have fun. But just understand, please don't buy into that expecting to 10x your money like the internet or some meme coin or joke crypto thing. And, you know, that's just not the healthy way to do it. And if it works out, that's awesome. I'm happy for you. But just understand that, you know, you need data, history, and experience to navigate this stuff. At any time, the market can turn and that trend will no longer be your friend. All right, folks. You'll have a beautiful day out there. Thanks for watching. Should I buy out a single card? I feel like I should buy out a single card. Or a series of cards? Maybe I should buy out a series of cards. Has anyone ever done that? Has anyone ever taken like $1 million and wiped out an entire market of actual individual cards? Has it ever been done? I think that'd be fun. Penis.